Welcome back to another video, everybody. So today we are here at Bentley's for their race car night. We came out with the Lowrider project pickup truck that we've been working on, and we're just gonna go walk around and show you guys what's here. So I guess we're gonna start out with this over here. This is a 1930s sprint car. Here's some old school pictures of the car from way back in the day. This is a pre-restoration, this is post-restoration, and this car was raced on dirt track, asphalt, and it even said ice racing as well. Pretty cool to see. There is a lot of very cool cars here, but these all got their own story to tell for sure. This car has been swapped with, if I gathered the information correctly, with a 32 Ford Model B engine. I love this old school Zephyr manifold, headers all the way back. I think that's my favorite part about a lot of these is the headers, but yeah, I figured we'd walk around. All the spoked wheels. I mean, it's cool to consider things like this car being so old. There's literally no front brakes. But very, very cool. You sit right in the center. Obviously, your fuel tank is back here. Little step just to get up into the car. Lots of cool things. And right over here is a 1937 Ford Sprint car. Very cool to see. This is another one. This is powered by a Ford flathead V8. And just cool. Like I said, I love these headers, these collector pipes that go out. Got that leaf suspension in the rear here. And even in here, you got to think like your drive shaft is inside of that. Well, it's not even the drive shaft. It's your torque tube that's mounted right there in between your feet. I mean, this is a very, very tight car. The body is all aluminum. And like I said, just another cool car to see here. So we're going to walk down the road just a little bit more, and right over here, a lot of these are the sprint cars that are shown over here, and cool enough, this one does look like it has drum brakes in the front, which is a very cool feature. I'm pretty curious though, this must be the intake side, and then you have your exhaust side on that half of the car. Again, another very short wheel-based, very tight seating car with your torque tube right in the middle, and you got the shifter right there in between your legs, so it's very, very tight in there. This car does seem to have disc brakes back here, which is pretty cool. So right over here, this is a 1933. It's called the Raccoons K8 Big Car Replica. And again, just really cool to walk around and see the designs on these types of things. I mean, think this is your tie rod end right here. It's just a sleeve, and it's mounted right to just some sort of pitman arm, I'll call it. Again, with the Zephyr headers, this looks to be like just a 4-cylinder this time. We'll walk down here. This one looks a little bit more roomy. And very cool to see too, just like aerodynamically, the wheel is perfect with the body. This one's got a little bit of a roll cage right here. Like I said, very, very neat cars. Would love to know some more about them. This actually seems to be some sort of e-brake as well. So that's a cool touch on this. So if I had read this right, this car is based off of, this is a 1951 Ford, shoebox Ford, but it's based off a 1949 Ford. It's kind of like a tribute car to a car that the very own Bentley Warren had driven, which is pretty cool to see. And I guess this car is stored over at the Bentley's Car Museum. But probably one of my favorite things I've seen here. Just this old stock car racing. I mean, this is probably like one of the cooler eras of race cars when the cars were literally versions of the cars they were racing. So super cool to see. All caged out, completely gutted. This is sweet. So right over here we have a modified class race car. This car was and is a 1937 Ford two-door, and it was built by, want to get the names correctly. This car was built by Wayne Roberts and Bentley Warren in 1969. This car has since been restored since its racing days. Here's some old school photos of it though. And just super, super cool to see. This car was raced by Bentley Warren, and no better place, like I said, to show it off than at Bentley's. Very cool to see though. This car's a little bit wider than some of the other race cars. Got a very nice roll cage in here though. Also, I didn't want to go without saying that it is powered by a big block, and I am in love with these headers again. Just super cool. We're just gonna walk around a little bit, just in case it starts raining too much, where people start leaving. Definitely a bummer, because obviously all these cars don't have windows. A lot of plexiglass, and wow, this car is super clean, man. Wow. And this cage is beautiful. Like, wow, this is a really, really nice car. It's an old Pontiac. I'm going to assume maybe like an old school Grand Prix or something like that. So sweet. No taillights, no headlights. If you're new to race cars, you won't want those kinds of things on your car. And I don't think they're allowed anyway. So a lot of them usually will have like a front bumper that's like polyurethane with like fake headlights just to continue the look. Kind of like things like these cars. When this car has 4 hood pins, that's nasty. I mean, the time and work and money that goes into these types of builds is nuts. It's all about just being aerodynamic and quick as can be. I'm a little curious why this wheel's cambered out so much like this, actually. Must just be for straight up left turns on the track. Well, I guess we'll get some clips while we're under as much shelter as we can. Right over here, it says it's an official pace car. It's a Corvette. I'm going to imagine, yes, a Stingray. This is usually what would lead the cars out onto the track typically, and very cool to see. Yeah, so what usually happens is sometimes these cars are used in NASCAR and things like that, and then usually auctioned off or sold after. Another thing that's really cool to see too is, like, you know, a lot of these tracks are specific circle track cars. So you come across a lot of things like this. So right back here, you got some crazy suspension. A lot of these cars are mainly tube chassis and things like that. But right here, I mean, you got your fuel cell, full coilover suspension setups. And since this car is typically, I'm going to assume, going left, everything is off-center to the left to get a good center of to move your center of gravity more towards the left. You can see what I mean. Like, the whole body of the car is faced one way where all the wheels stick out another side. So I don't know, just another cool thing to note when you're looking at things like this. So right over here we have some other cars in the modified class as well. Looks to be like, again, another like Chevy 350 or something around there. This one's pretty wide. Got a good little cage. It fits the car really, really well. Just trying to mainly walk around right now and get some content for you guys. I love how long these headers are. You can see where they were extended. Cool. Here's another one over here. This one sits real low, and I'm actually a big fan of this. This is very, very clean looking too. This one now has looks to be like a power steering rack up front. 355 cubic inch, weighs 2,500 pounds. Nuts, man. Again, wow, this is, like I said, super, super clean. Walk out back here. Another full coilover suspension setup. I imagine when you see diffs like this, I'm figuring these are the quick change differentials where you can change out your gear ratios to try out different ratios a little bit easier than normal. Super cool, man. This is another very, very cool car. There's only so many of this made. This is a homologations car. I think this one's an 87 Monte Carlo Aero Coupe. And they had to make so many of them to run them in NASCAR. And the difference between a regular one is, and this one is this right here, this big long window instead of coming straight down. So that's, again, a very cool car to see here. So right over here, we are at JDR Motorsports with Ryan Duchette and his father, and they were showing me around their open wheel tour modified race car, and just learned a little bit about this. So cool enough, we were talking, and I don't know where to start. It's a small block Chevy engine originally, very heavily custom modified with dart heads, and again, I love the way this header comes out of here. This car is a circle track race car and races mainly northern New England. We were talking, and I mean, just to show you too how like sticky and grippy these tires are, just coming off from whatever the trailer and everything. I mean, there's so much debris on them because they are so sticky. Full coilover suspension. This car is, like, again, complete tube chassis. You got your quick release and everything there. Still pretty cool to learn about to me. I'd love to actually go see these kinds of cars race, just because be a good learning experience. In our conversation, actually, we were talking about how usually it would be the rear right tire that sees the most stress, just continuously going left around the track and the power being put out to this. But very cool talking with them and learning a little bit about this car. So this is another pretty cool thing to see. These are like the type of cars you would have seen running at beaches back in the day. And right there, like I said, you have the fake headlights and grill, and it's like probably a polyurethane, typically front bumper on this car. All the G bodies are over here. So wanted to walk around these because obviously I have a soft spot for these in my heart. Another, this one I think is a Buick. Any signs in the back? Again, all the windows are out, full roll cage, gutted. I understand things like this a little bit more. It's kind of like that stock car racing style race cars. These make a little more sense to me, but I gotta go out and see these kinds of cars race too, because they are very, very cool. So like, this is a lot of time and money put into things like this. A lot of them usually do feature that quick change differential in the rear there. I think the more I look at this is like based off like a Pinto or something. That's super cool. Like I said, yeah, you can see how much the wheels stick out back here. This is nuts. These are some wide cars. Even talking to the last people with the open tour modified race cars, they said there's a lot of maintenance that goes into these kinds of things. I mean, you know, making sure all your nuts and bolts are tight, you know, changing out your fluids very consistently. A lot of these cars are really being pushed to their limits, revving real high, so it's really important that you keep up with your maintenance on things like this. I love the nose on this though. The Buick's so cool. So this is cool. There's a bunch of go-karts here. I'll call them go-karts. And pretty cool to see. It's the same thing, just a miniature version. You got your smaller wheel and your bigger wheel. Your engine's offset to one side. Pretty cool to see. I know, I think Maine has a track that is like specifically dedicated to these. But figured I'd show them off real quick. Just another cool aspect of race cars to see here. I just noticed a lot of them too are open cut wheel at the top there. So this is a trailer with a lot of old school racing memorabilia, and right here is the 47 Buick that we see outside, and right here is a picture. I'm assuming it's the same car and a wreck back in the day. And right down here is another cool thing to show off. It is who they call the Flying Fisherman Bentley Warren, and some old school race car memorabilia right there. This is probably the car that they tributed the old school 50s Ford over there that we showed a little earlier on. There's the number 44 modified race car. So cool to see. Another pretty cool one to see here too. This is a little bit more of a more modern style race car. I mean, probably early 2000s, I imagine. This one is the first one I've seen featuring 2 seats. And look at that side exit blast pipe down there. It is a Monte Carlo. Again, just cool to see here. Right over here we got an old Toyota Tacoma pickup. Well, it would actually just be like a base model regular cab short bed. This truck is actually raced with a stock engine. It's got the 22 RE carbureted engine as well. And obviously, you know, on the channel we got a mini truck, so had to feature it. So talking with the owner of this truck and his father, he said he races this up at Oxford Speedway on Thursday night. So that's something I'll definitely have to go check out. And it's cool getting these little cards. A lot of them took the time to sign them and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's really cool. Cool little truck. It's an old school, what year we got? 1931 Ford. Very custom pickup. You got the roll cage all the way up here. A lot of cool little custom things too to throw, like throwbacks, like the louvers just in the back here. It's so chopped your head sticks up above the roof. Big air intake up here, bug catcher essentially. Powered by, again, probably like a Chevy 350 or something, but just cool to see it is. Yeah, very cool. I like that. And on aluminum bags back here, it's sweet. This is cool. It's another, I don't want to say this one's a G body, but about that style. I think it might be an old Malibu or something like that, but I love this the brushed aluminum design instead of the headlights. That actually looks super good. Again, another just very clean, cool, old school race car. Another cool thing too is talking with one of the builders. These are all people that have helped out with the car, and everything is painted instead of vinyl decals, which is super cool when you really think of it. It's a lot of time spent, especially on the back there with all the names. He said it was racing like an 80s to 85 class, all period correct. Yeah, it's super cool. And I was right, it is Malibu. Just another very unique piece right here as well. This is powered by an Offenhauser, if I said that correctly, 4-cylinder, and it said it made 175 to 180 horsepower, which is a little scary when you think about it. It's again just super cool. All the chrome is kind of nuts to see on this as well. 1947. Now we'll walk around, just check out a couple race cars I don't know too much about and don't have a lot of info on. Again, it is another small block Chevy powered car with triple carbs up top, which is pretty sweet to see. It's funny to see how the steering wheel on this sits almost straight up instead of tilted towards you. Again, with a quick change differential, a lot of the race cars seem to have that. Oh, these headers are cool. The way they come out staggered like that, that's so sweet. Tilted radiator, all tube chassis. Again, just cool to see. And I don't know too much about these. I think these are raced on dirt though. I could be wrong. If you know anything about any of these cars too, let me know in the comments below. This is full learning experience for me as well. This car is a little chain driven car down here with some beautiful pipes as well. Seems to be the theme today. All the pipes on these cars are beautiful. Little bead locks too, which is kind of cool. I mean, especially on such a small wheel and tire setup. And these cars are very aerodynamic with this big, I'll say almost a spoiler up at the top. And over here, I kept hearing about these. I hear these are possibly called the Supers. I don't know too much about them, unfortunately, and I missed seeing them before they got covered up. This is a much larger version of what we had just looked at over there, essentially. Well, all right, everybody, that's going to conclude today's video of the Bentley's Race Car Show today. Pretty cool to check out, and just wanted to show you guys some of the things that showed up. Like I said, I'm not super educated on the race car half of the car world, but it was a cool thing to come out, learn, and see some new things. So thank you so much for checking out today's video, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe, obviously.